Hey everyone, Chris here. Hope you guys are all having a great summer. Now that I've had about 6 months of fairly steady driving on the Taycan Turismo, I thought I would give you guys my opinion, the pros and cons of things that I found, things that I like. First thing I'm going to say is you can really, I know silver is kind of a boring color, but it's such a nice color at the same time because you cannot really tell that it's dirty unless you get right up on it. See? This thing's pretty trashed. Not that that has anything to do with the Turismo, that's just a little side comment. That being said, I want to get this thing cleaned up here. Since I'm here, check this out. I got the mini toy box coming along pretty nicely actually. They poured the floor last week. Supposed to be doing the curb and gutter last week as well, but falling behind schedule as predicted. It's a lot smaller than we wanted it to be. This is just going to be strictly for storage. Oh nice, they got all the outlets in now. This we're going to be using it mainly for storage, so all that Halloween crap that you see in the back of the toy box will be filling up this area. It's going to be about, what is this? It's like 1,425, something like that, square foot. This little kickout right here, we fought the city on this for weeks. They just wouldn't give us a variance. Which is odd. You think they would want to collect those property taxes, but because the property line is a little bit past that silt fence, you cannot come a certain distance to that property line. So both of these corners actually, they kiss that barrier, that invisible barrier that we are not allowed to build past. Same thing with this corner here, it just kind of kisses it. We tried to get them to make it nice and square, so we had about a 1,500 square foot building, but nope, they had to be needle dicks about it. And then the outside will match the toy box identically. So you'll have the metal siding, the hardy board siding painted like that, and this stonework, and then we'll make it nice for landscaping. And then around here we'll have a bunch more parking spots available that we didn't have before. Let's make this a quick one. This part we're going to do some YouTube magic. That's better. Off camera, I did go around and I put another layer, because if you can, layer your ceramic coating or spray ceramic coatings. By that I mean stuff like this. It'll just last longer, and it's nice to put a rejuvenating coat on top of it. So I went around and I put that on there, as well as I really like that graphene tire dressing. I just applied this, that's why it's really shiny. That'll dull down here once it dries. But that stuff worked really well. Got it all cleaned up on the inside, so we are good to go. Now, the purpose of this video isn't to point out necessarily anything bad or wrong or good about the Taycan. This is again just my opinion of driving and owning it for the last 6 months, and things that I found that I would like to highlight. Now, keep in mind, some of this stuff will be my opinion, not necessarily a bad one, not necessarily a good one, but just wanted to keep that in mind. And honestly, there's not a whole lot I would consider wrong or bad with the Taycan, but there are some things, and we're going to highlight them right now. When I spec'd this car, it's at my house, but we have a Taycan Turbo S that came with the electronic door for the charging port. I opted to go with the stock one, A, to save, I think it's like $1,200, something crazy, but B, I didn't want to deal with, when I wash that Taycan, I take my mitt and I go across it this way, this door will open up. That being said, I'm not crazy about this. And there's nothing wrong, I don't think, but it just seems kind of cheap. Everything is so high-end about this car, and then this door here just seems a little cheap. I don't know if, this is plastic, but I don't know if making it kind of come up like the e-tron or down would have been better. I just think that it's not bad. It's just, I'm nitpicking here, but this just seems a little cheap to me. Very rarely, but once in a while, I don't have the key in my pocket, but let's say I do. Once in a while, I'll go up to any of the doors and go to unlock it, and it will not unlock. Let's see if it does it when I have the actual key on me. Okay, keys in the pocket. See, now it happened. Now it did it. But I have had it once or twice go where, let's see if it's maybe when I lock it. I like that this locks when you lock the car. See, right now it's not doing it. I don't know if it's because I just locked it, or because I never really gave it a chance to walk away from it, but I have noticed that this is kind of a weird little bug. So now I'm maybe, I don't know, 10 feet away. Come up to it like I just got back from the store. Now it's working. So maybe it's just because I didn't give it enough time or something, but I've walked into stores and came out and not been able to open up the door again once or twice. Opinion, I'm still not in love with the wagon look. This angle looks really actually good. This angle looks really good. Okay, I can't. Maybe it's just because it's all cleaned up. Maybe it's this angle. I don't know. One of these angles kind of bugs me about it having that wagon look. But if I keep telling myself it's just a slammed Cayenne, we're good to go. That's honestly all I can think of from the outside for a negative standpoint. Work this time. Moving in on the inside. This is when things get. Let me turn this on here. So starting off right here, this is about my view from the driver's side seat. As I'm driving, this is what I see. Things that I don't necessarily care for. If I want to see the time or the temperature, I really can't, because unless I turn my head, then I can see it. Turn my head this way, I can see it. If I come around, I can see it. I don't know what Porsche could have done better. I don't know if maybe extending it even a little bit more, but then they have all this blank space behind the steering wheel. I don't know what they could have done better. This is just something that I noticed is kind of annoying. Right about there is what I see. The view out the back window isn't terrible. I bring my dogs to work with me every day, so it's all because of me, but my kennel blocks about half of that window. One thing that I really do not understand is this center console right here. There's no way to unlock it from the passenger side, which is good. But the way from the driver's side, there's a little button right here. See? It opens up this entire console, but the problem is it's near impossible to get into. So let's say I'm driving, I need to get something in here. I push this button, I pick this up. I really can't. It's quite awkward and hard to get in here. I have to almost take both hands off the steering wheel, hold this up, because if I let this go, it's just going to drop to there, I guess. But I'm not going to be able to. There's no point in getting in that, so I need to really take two hands off the steering wheel, hold this up with one, and then take my other hand. It's really annoying, and get in there. I think this is a very poor design. I think that they would have maybe been able to get rid of perhaps this cup holder, because we have ones in the doors. There's big gulp holders, but I don't know if opening it from here and letting this whole thing come open like a clamshell or what. But this, I don't know if it's this part or just maybe because it's awkward to get into. But to get in here, I really need to like torque my body just to get access to me. That's why I don't have anything in here that I don't need every day. I think that's very poorly designed. Getting out of the car can be kind of tricky at times, especially if I have something in my hands, because the way I have my seat, I don't think that's the fault, because I don't want to be any closer than this. But you have this huge B-pillar right as you exit the car that if I don't open my door all the way, which I don't like doing because OCD, I don't like having there be marks on these little door stoppers. So I always open my door about halfway. But to get out of this car, like, you can see this B-pillar, which is right there. So I found myself just coming in here and putting all my weight on the door sill and trying to avoid the B-pillar there. Next, take note that these vents here, there is no way to move them. Everything is done. I'll show you. Everything is done here within the climate control system. So if I want any of these vents to go a different way, I have to do it inside here. So it's kind of weird. And I'll aim it down here and I can feel the baffles inside moving the air around. If you come in the back here, they are manual. I think that's a bad thing. I just think it would have been kind of cool to have them keep it consistent. You have those kind of hidden vents also in the back. I don't know if they just went cheap on it. Maybe it's an option. I don't recall the other Taycan having that. Well, that honestly is about it. You can see here I got 82% battery. My range is 222 miles. I am on AC Eco. I've had to put that just on normal AC. See, it drops a couple miles there. As soon as I turn this off, the whole let's see here, the whole air unit jumps up 20 miles. So you can see how much drain that this has. So you can kind of play around with it. I should add too, I could put this into a range mode. I don't keep it in range mode. I just keep it that right there, bumped it up 6 miles. I just always drive in normal or sport. But really, that's that's all I can think of when it comes to anything negative about this car. It's been a real pleasure to drive, honestly, and I enjoy it so much that that's why I traded my Macan for a BMW i4 M50, which will be here in October. Being a car guy, you know, we have tons of cars here that my father and I own separately or together, and the EVs, I don't know how to explain it without sounding like a nerd. It's crazy how much enjoyment I get from driving this car. The Macan, for example, I've said this in another video, but if I needed to accelerate through a roundabout or something, I'd have to downshift, let the turbo spool up, and then accelerate. And sometimes it'd be almost like a 2 or 3 second lag. With something like this, it's instant. Now this is their base Taycan 4, so it's got maybe, I think it's just over 400 horsepower, but 400 horsepower in an EV is a lot different than 400 horsepower in a standard, you know, internal combustion car, because the torque is just, it's there instantly. Just think of like needing the power, right? Whether it's 400 horsepower or 800 horsepower, the instant reaction you get from an EV, it's something that I've really grown to be fond of. So with that being said, let's go on to the positive. Besides the obvious of having that instant power, there are many things I enjoy about this car. First and foremost, being a Porsche. I've ordered 2 or 3 Teslas in the last maybe 4 years, and every single time I give my deposit, which is non-refundable, I cancel it within a week. I don't even give it a chance to come in for me to look at it. And the reason for that is because I'm just hearing horror stories of, even though Tesla's that's been around for what, over 10 years, they are still finding cosmetic, mechanical things that don't flow right. Still finding issues with this car. Not to say that this car is perfect. I mean, we just saw the handles not working right. I mean, but that's so infrequent. It's crazy. Like now I have it in my pocket. See, it's got to be when I lock it, walk away, come up to it. Yeah, see, it's not just because I don't give it enough time. Besides that, I have not had any electrical or any issues at all. This thing has more space in the back. Again, I bring my dogs to work every day with me. There's more space in the back of this car than there is in the Macan. Not as high, but it is definitely more deep. So the cargo space I have available to me is a lot more than I thought it would be. As I mentioned before, this is a Porsche, so you know the quality is going to be top notch. Even the way the door sounds when you shut it. I did do the extended leather package, so of course there's more leather on it than it would be standard, but it's just very nice, high-end, high-quality leather. Another negative thing that I just thought of is the timers. Let me grab my phone here so I can show you what I'm talking about. You can take a standard Porsche charger and it'll charge just fine. Everything you need to do in the timer on the Porsche app, you can do on the charger, but I installed a wall box charger at my house, anticipating that I'll be using it for this or the BMW coming in. I just didn't want to have to deal with using the proper charger for each. I mean, a charger is a charger, right? Or I should say a power supply is a power supply. The charger's on board. But in order to charge this thing, you have to go into these timers, which is kind of weird. And if I don't have this set up properly, then, like, see here, it just defaults off. Now I can turn that on and have it repeat itself, but I don't have this. I don't plug this thing in every day because I don't drive that much. But the way I have it set up is I set it to, I'm ready to depart at 7 a.m. I have it charging to 85%, and I do not have it precondition the interior or heat the interior because I have a heated garage. And honestly, I just don't want to deal with it draining battery when it doesn't need to. But if this isn't set up right, it's really weird. I'm trying to explain it. I have to turn on this timer, send it to the car, and I have to wait for my wall box outlet to be activated. I have CenterPoint Energy where I live. That's the electric company, and I signed up for what's called a storage rate to use my electric outlet for an EV only between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. That's when I get the best rates, I guess. What's weird is that it doesn't turn on right at 11 o'clock. It turns on at 11:16. And I've noticed that if I'm not awake, I don't go into the Wallbox app. See, it's not going to stay connected because there's no power to it. If I don't go in here and start it manually, it's kind of weird. It's like the Wallbox app does not communicate with the Porsche app properly. I don't really understand. I'm still kind of figuring out. I've only charged this guy maybe 7 times. I've only had to charge it maybe 7 times. I think I'm starting to figure it out, but so it's probably a user error, not necessarily a Porsche or a Wallbox problem. But that's one thing I think I just have to figure out. Some other pros that I like, some people probably don't care for this. I think it's probably cheap. I just talked about that being cheap, but I do really like that they have this plastic trim around the wheel arches. The ones that are painted, if you don't have that PPF come and wrap this corner, you're just going to chip them all up. I think the ones that are painted are gloss black, which I really do not like. I have a couple of gloss black parts on here, which I really wish wasn't. I don't know what else they could have been. Maybe this matte would have been nice. Think about this. This is like a polished aluminum, but this is better than this to me. This is just flat black, glossy as hell. Probably swirled up if we get into the right light. I just don't like it. Same thing with back here. I would have loved to have this either be carbon fiber or something else besides gloss black. Not matte, or not textured plastic like what's around here, but carbon fiber would have been pretty sweet. Then again, I don't know, it looks great with being all black. This of course was an option, but I do love these smoked out taillights. See if I can turn it on, if it'll show up. No. The brake light runs all the way through, which is pretty sweet. I do like that this is plastic on the outside because, kids or whatever, I've only really had my kids in here, but kids their shoes will hit this, or your calf will hit this in the wintertime. I'm glad that it's not going to be something I need to replace PPF on or polish out if it's painted. So having this on here is nice. Maybe it's because I got the off-road package. That's what these little deals are. I do think that's standard as well. This is reaching. I'm not really sure what this little shelf here can be used for, besides maybe storing some sunglasses or something else on there. It would be a little awkward to grab from the driver's seat, having to reach down, and what if it slides back or something? So I've never actually put anything in there, but I think that's not a wasted space. I'm glad it's not solid, because that'll make this thing feel like kind of like a cockpit, but I think that's just kind of a weird feature. I just don't know what they could have done better. I think it's probably the best that they could have done, actually. I don't know why they have this here. I didn't look underneath, so I don't know if there's a drive shaft going through. I don't think there is, because it's an EV and there's a motor in the front, motor in the back. But the back seat is fairly small. I've only had my kids in here, so I haven't needed to haul any adults or anything, and they've had no problem. But they're 4 feet tall. Getting into it, however, it's not hard, but you can see how far back this seat is into this C-pillar. Gonna have to almost drop into it. Once you're back here, though, it's really quite comfortable. I got plenty of headroom. I'm 5'11". Right here, it's not gonna. It's not ideal. I have to duck out, but once I'm in here, I could ride in this for an hour-long, 2-hour-long trip. I think a lot of other manufacturers are going to use this as the benchmark for quality on their EVs. Because in my opinion, I don't have much experience with EVs, but it doesn't get a whole lot better than this. I do have that BMW i4 M50 coming in again in October. I'll probably use that over this as my daily, because this costs more. This costs about as much as the Model S Plaid, which is, you could put that on the negative side, because I'm not getting the performance out of here as you would get a Plaid. But the quality of really any Porsche is so much better than any Tesla. That's what I'm paying for. At least I'm not paying for that rollout 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, or whatever. This is still fast. It's not Model S fast. It's not Turbo S fast, but it's fast. I wish it had more power, so I would have gone with the Taycan 4S had there been an allocation. But this is, as a daily car, this is very nice. But I do plan on using that BMW as the daily driver, especially in the wintertime, because it costs significantly less than the Taycan here. I'm gonna leave it here for a little bit. I'll probably grab maybe my 911 and take that home. I have the Turbo S, the Taycan Turbo S at the house that I'll plan on swapping for this probably later today, because I did put that ceramic coating on there and it needs to cure for a while. It's a sick car. Looks sick, drives amazing. If you guys ever get a chance to drive a Taycan, do it, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how responsive and just how refined the interior is. It's one of my favorite cars that I've ever owned. So I'm gonna end this video here. As always, I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.